Hello, all you freedom-loving people. Welcome to another episode of Front Page. I'm your host, Scott Cameron Goulet. Kari Lake's election case proceeds to trial to challenge the outside interference. And finally, after 2 days, Elon Musk announced that he would step down from the role as CEO of Twitter when a suitable replacement is found. While Twitter is on top of the news with Musk and its recent Twitter files that are exposing their dark secrets, there is another high-profile case that is also unveiling how the FBI shields records from the public. Other social platforms are also having hard times. This time, the European Commission warned Meta over Facebook Marketplace being a breach of EU antitrust laws. And Sam Bankman-Fried will fly from the Bahamas to the US today to face criminal charges. Okay, let's get into it. 2 days after Elon Musk asked his 122 million Twitter followers whether he should step down as the Twitter CEO, Musk announced that he would step down from the role, but he will remain involved in operations until a suitable replacement is found. On Tuesday, Musk said on Twitter that I will resign as CEO as soon as I find someone foolish enough to take the job. After that, I will just run the software and server teams. On December 18th, Musk ran the poll, and the final tally showed that 57.5% voted in favor of Musk's departure. Fans of Musk noted that the poll might have attracted bots to vote yes. Before the poll closed, Musk engaged with several posts about him potentially leaving the top job. Musk responded to one user who suggested that Musk should hire a new CEO, saying, "The question is not finding a CEO, the question is finding a CEO who can keep Twitter alive." Answering podcast host Lex Fridman's offer to take on the job, Musk said that any new Twitter CEO must like pain a lot. One catch: you have to invest your life savings in Twitter, and it has been in the fast lane to bankruptcy since May. Still want the job? He also tweeted on Sunday that he had no successor and that there were no qualified candidates to lead Twitter. Last month, Musk told a Delaware court that he planned to reduce his time at Twitter and to eventually find someone else to take over as its chief. And another high-profile case is exposing how the FBI shields records from the public. According to lawyer Ty Clevenger, the FBI undermines the Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA, by shielding public information under nebulous categories like digital evidence. Under FOIA, all agency records, with some exceptions, are available to the public upon making a FOIA request. Upon searching its central records system, the Bureau responded to Clevenger's request, saying that it had not found any records regarding the deceased Seth Rich. But Clevenger said that the FBI can say anything is digital evidence, and they don't enter it into their index system, and nobody ever knows about it or nobody ever finds it. In late 2020, in a case that was brought by Clevenger on behalf of a Texas resident, Brian Huddleston, the government acknowledged that it did have materials on Democratic National Committee staffer Seth Rich. Officials later made clear that they had been given Rich's work laptop by the law firm Perkins Coie, and that they also came into possession of a disk containing images from Rich's personal computer. FBI and Department of Justice lawyers insisted that if Rich had records, they would be uncovered through such a search in court filings and affidavits. Michael Seidel, the FBI's records chief, said in a sworn declaration that while conducting additional research to confirm the whereabouts of the work laptop, the FBI located a DVD and a tape drive, which are also currently stored in the same evidence control room and are marked as derivative evidence. Seidel added that the records are not subject to FOIA since the FBI has not relied upon them and plans to return them to their owner after all criminal proceedings are concluded. Seidel also said that the DVD and tape drive fall under digital evidence, which is defined as digital evidence seized at a search scene or otherwise lawfully obtained and stored in an evidence control room. Under FBI policy, digital evidence must not be serialized into the FBI's central record-keeping system or any other FBI administrative or record management system. According to Seidel, neither the work computer nor the derivative evidence was stored in the record system or in the files. But Clevenger said that the FBI is violating FOIA. He explained the FBI has a long and extensive history of violating the Freedom of Information Act. Unfortunately, there are no criminal penalties for violating FOIA, and as a practical matter, there are no civil penalties either, so the FBI doesn't particularly care whether it breaks the law. He added, "When the new Congress convenes in January, I plan to ask the House Judiciary Committee to investigate the FBI's systemic FOIA violations." The Republicans, who are gaining control of the House of Representatives in January of 2023, are also planning to investigate the FBI over the recently exposed Twitter files. The Maricopa County, Arizona judges ruled that 2 of the 10 claims that were brought by Kari Lake that are challenging Katie Hobbs' election win can go to court. In her lawsuit that was filed earlier this month, Lake asked the judge to declare her the winner or to hold another vote in Maricopa County. Lake's lawsuit was dismissed by Superior Judge Peter Thompson, ruling that 8 of the 10 claims didn't meet the state's law requirements for election challenges. It is expected that Lake's remaining claims challenging intentional interference with ballot printers and with chain of custody problems will be heard. Lake's team was granted access to inspect a small sample of ballots in Maricopa County. Judge Thompson wrote, "The defendants dispute the lack of compliance with chain of custody laws and claims that plaintiff has misunderstood the forms required as presented. Whether the county complied with its own manual and applicable statutes is a dispute of fact rather than one of law. That is true as to whether such lack of compliance was both intentional and did in fact result in a changed outcome." Lake alleged that Hobbs and Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer engaged in censorship by targeting social media posts for possible removal by Twitter. But the judge dismissed those allegations. However, Hobbs could be called to testify as Arizona's Secretary of State. Earlier this week, Hobbs' lawyer submitted a motion to quash attempts to get Hobbs to testify in her official capacity. After Thompson's ruling, Kari Lake tweeted, "Our election case is going to trial. Katie Hobbs' attempt to have our case thrown out failed. She will have to take the stand and testify." Then she added, "Arizona, we will have our day in court." The Facebook parent company Meta has been warned by the European Commission that it is violating EU antitrust laws by distorting competition in online classified advertising markets, and it is abusing its dominant position. According to the Commission's preliminary view, they will investigate further, and they could impose fines of up to 10% of the company's global turnover if sufficient evidence is found of infringement of EU law. In a statement, EU antitrust chief Margherita Vestager expressed concern that Meta ties its dominant social network, Facebook, to its online classified ad service, Facebook Marketplace. She said this means Facebook users have no choice but to have access to Facebook Marketplace. But Meta denied any anti-competitive practices. Meta spokesperson Tim Lamb said that the claims made by the European Commission are without foundation. Lamb added, "We will continue to work with regulatory authorities to demonstrate that our product innovation is pro-consumer and pro-competitive." Meta was also accused of abusing its dominant position by unilaterally imposing unfair trading conditions on competing online classified services that advertise on Facebook or on Instagram. According to the Commission, Meta's terms and conditions are unjustified, disproportionate, and unnecessary to provide online display advertising services. In June of last year, the European Union's Antitrust Enforcement Agency launched an investigation into Facebook's use of advertisers' data in online classified ads. And as of March 11th, the European Commission had opened an investigation to determine whether Google and Meta had agreed to weaken and exclude a competing technology from the market for displaying ads on publishers' websites and apps. St. Joseph's High School in Ontario, Canada, has suspended a student for a month for interacting with transgender students. Josh Alexander, who is 16, organized a protest in November against the use of female washrooms by transgender males. In a heated classroom conversation before that, he maintained that there are only two genders of men and women. The school told him he may have violated the Safe Schools policy. Alexander thinks the school is considering expelling him. Alexander said, "I do have a little bit of sympathy for the transgender students. I don't think it's fair that they are growing up with parents who encourage this behavior." He said the schools have encouraged gender dysphoria, as he has heard two teachers advocate breastfeeding by men. On November 25th, Alexander led a walkout and protest against the school's washrooms, which was supported by the community but also met with backlash. A female grade 11 student at St. Joseph's also expressed her discomfort about having a transgender male in the girls' washroom. She told Alexander about it, and she also went to the principal. The principal was very polite about it, she said, but she added, "He said he appreciated me coming forward, and it's important for him to hear both sides of the story and all that, but I didn't really get the sense that he was going to actually do anything about it." As a member of Save America, Alexander led student action in support of the Freedom Convoy for truckers at the start of this year. Save Canada describes itself as a volunteer organization with the mission to create the most prosperous and free Canada. In a video recording of the recent protest about transgender students using female washrooms, Alexander is shown speaking to the crowd saying this rally is not about hate. This rally is about keeping males out of the female washrooms. Female students have complained about this. The school refuses to take action. Alexander explained that the characterization of Save Canada, of himself, and of the protest by those who are opposed to it was wrong. He said it wasn't necessarily an anti-trans rally. It was more so just we wanted gender-restricted washrooms. In a video that recently surfaced on social media, Biden appeared to say that the 2015 Iran nuclear deal is dead. The video was reportedly recorded during an election event on November 4th. Biden says that the deal is dead, but he emphasized that his administration cannot publicly announce it. He said there were a lot of reasons why he couldn't announce this. A woman in the video says, "We just don't want any deals with the mullahs. No deals. They don't represent us. They are not our government." Biden responded, "They'll have a nuclear weapon they'll represent." The comments by Biden may be the last nail in the coffin for the Iran nuclear deal, which has been increasingly pushed aside by the White House. This comes amid renewed speculation that Iran is trying to revive stalled talks on a nuclear deal that would ease sanctions on Tehran in exchange for curbs in its nuclear weapons arsenal. When Biden entered the White House, he made reviving the 2015 nuclear deal a top foreign policy priority, but negotiations to restore the agreement have stalled. In contrast, Iran have enriched uranium up to 60%, which is not far off the weapons grade level, which is 90%. Meanwhile, a bipartisan group of U.S. lawmakers proposed legislation on Monday to refuse visas and to revoke those issued to Iranian regime insiders and their families. The legislation would direct the Secretary of State to conduct a review of whether a wide-ranging group of Islamic Republic officials, including members of the Revolutionary Guard, the Supreme Leader's Office, security forces, and their family members, are in possession of U.S. visas or have applied for them. Recently, Canada has also banned entry to 10,000 Iranian regime supporters and people affiliated with key elements of the Iranian regime. And in breaking news, Bahamas Acting Commissioner of Corrections Don Clare confirmed on Tuesday that former FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried will return to the U.S. today on Wednesday. He'll be flying on a federal aircraft. According to resources, Bankman-Fried's team does not anticipate any further problems with the process. Over the last 2 days, Bankman-Fried and his U.S. counsel have been at odds, leading to chaos in the Nassau courtroom in the Bahamas. The upcoming trial will likely take a considerable amount of time, and he may be free on bail while the trial is ongoing. Bankman-Fried has been charged with 8 federal crimes, including wire fraud, securities fraud, and money laundering, in connection with his cryptocurrency exchange, which collapsed in a bankruptcy last month. The Securities and Exchange Commission has called his fraud one of the largest and most brazen in recent history. Increasing investment in American utility companies by BlackRock and Vanguard has conservatives on edge. In April, BlackRock's request to increase its ownership of voting shares of a public utility to up to 20% was approved by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission without incurring regulatory scrutiny and disclosures as an affiliate. In order to gain approval, BlackRock and Vanguard promised not to influence corporate management through their ownership of shares. In 2019, BlackRock and Vanguard were given blanket approval to surpass this limit for 3 years, and BlackRock was just granted blanket approval for another 3 years. It's now Vanguard that is requesting approval from the Commission on similar terms. However, protests are already raging against its request. Recently, 13 state attorneys general submitted a petition to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission to deny Vanguard's request. They claim that wind and solar power would harm residents of their states if utility companies stopped using fossil fuels. The attorneys general argued that Vanguard is not entitled to a blanket authorization to acquire substantial equity and voting power in utility companies. The petition stated Vanguard's own public commitments and other statements have, at the very least, created the appearance that Vanguard has breached its promises to the Commission by engaging in environmental activism and using its financial influence to manipulate the activities of the utility companies in its portfolio. Charlie Munger, the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, a company that is chaired by Warren Buffett, also said in February that we have a new bunch of emperors, and they're the people who vote the shares in the index funds. I think the world of BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, but I'm not sure I want him to be my emperor. And that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for your support of Front Page. Please remember that every like, comment, and share helps more people to see the truth. We've also heard from many of our viewers that they don't get notifications of our videos anymore from YouTube. So please follow us on Telegram, Gab, Getter, and on Truth Social for the latest updates. Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, please don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family, because everybody deserves to know the truth. Again, thank you for watching Front Page, and we will see you next time.